Podcast, episode 1.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, so we could kind of just talk about anything.
Anything.
We have a couple things that we have in mind.
Some pressing questions.
Okay.
Yeah, but past that, we could just talk about whatever.
Are you just opening it with podcast?
Podcast. Yeah. Podcast 1. Podcast 1.
Podcast 1 and then clap.
And then
That's fair.
Yeah, we could do a little intro. Welcome to the IndieFilm Insider podcast. Today we have director visionary Ryan Sagun here on the show.
good first AD as well.
Oh, thank you.
Phenomenal
Thank you. I appreciate it.
first
Yes,
Yeah.
I've AD'd 2 of your films now.
Yes.
You're right.
just kiss it.
Going into
Come
the
on.
third.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you guys for having me.
Of course, yeah, that's a weird fun talk. I have a first burning question.
Yes.
Okay.
Is your middle name actually Spartacus?
Dude, I feel like high school over again. Yes, actually, it is actually Spartacus. My great grandfather's actual name is Spartacus. He's actually from Italy. He was a father figure for my dad growing up, especially because he lived with his grandparents for a few years while he went to school in Castro Valley. That's a whole other story. But his grandfather died like a year before I was born, and so they decided to name me in honor of it. It's not just because of the movie, although if they had a second son, they have told me that they would have Kyle Maximus, and that would have definitely been because of the movie.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah. I'm just like, that's fucking sick.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, if I did this, because you're like a little production thing, is like Spartacus Productions, right?
It's a Ryan Sagun production, but then I have the Spartan logo coming in.
Yeah.
If I did that shit, it'd be Michael Productions. that would not sound as cool.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I kind of wanted to give make sure my name was the focus, but acknowledge the Spartacus part. A couple friends suggested I make my thing Ryan Spartacus, but like directors don't do that. It's just their name. Like Quentin Tarantino is actually the guy's name.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
Although it would be cool hearing a Ryan Spartacus production instead of a Ryan Sagun production.
That'd be cool. Might be a little bit misleading though. They might think it's going to be some kind of like, Roman epic.
That is true. That is
type
true.
of film,
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's always
maybe.
a Roman film. There's always
it's like only in Italian.
yeah.
All it ever does.
Or
Which I do not speak. So
Latin actually. Sorry.
Traitor.
yeah.
All right. So now what we're actually here to talk about, Vigilant Justice.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Vigilant Justice.
So Vigilant Justice was a feature film that I recently just finished directing. It started off as a student project when I went to Diallo Valley College. That's where I went for my freshman and sophomore year of college. We had to do a documentary project in our class, but we had like 2 weeks to do it. The teacher did not give us any time. So she put us in random groups, which is where I met Sean. And I suggested we do this superhero mockumentary idea that one of my friends had pitched to me a while ago, but he had no plans on moving forward with the idea, so he just said I could do it. So we in like a week, we're shooting the project. We're shooting the whole thing. We're getting Sean just riffing off stuff. We finished the edit for it in another week, right? And it's done. And Sean and I are just dying in class. And then like a month later, he comes up to me. He's like, hey, so like, do you want to make a feature film? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And it like, we literally, I wrote the script in about a month, which is, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. I wrote it in about a month, and then we're shooting like a month later. And we shot over like the course of 2 months. And then after that, we spent like the next 2 years essentially doing post-production on the project. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a pretty big achievement though. Even if it's like relatively simple to pull it off, it's still a feature film. I mean,
Oh yeah. I definitely.
How old were you?
I started writing that when I was 19. We finished production the week after I turned 20.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy.
And then, for anyone watching, Vigilant Justice will be out very, very shortly. Do you have a release date on it? Because we went to the premiere, like a week ago?
The premiere was on January 30th. The release date is we're trying to do very beginning of March. We just don't know what like Amazon's rules are on like the whole situation. We're trying to get it on Amazon Prime for reference.
Yeah.
We're working on getting it all put together for that. But it should be releasing early March.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because Owen and I have done films for quite some time, like just like little skits and stuff. So I'm kind of imagining us. We have like this one little series we did called like Drug Lord of a it gets better. It's called Drug Lord of a Suburban City.
Okay.
And the premise essentially, it's me and Owen as like these detectives, and we're both trying to basically capture the main antagonist, and his name is John Hussein, And
God, okay.
so I'm kind of, whenever I don't know, it gives me the same vibes as like us just kind of messing around with like the
Yeah.
camera, but like if we did that for like a feature length project. And so I don't know, it's kind of like inspiring and to see that, you know.
No,
It's-
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely like when writing. So I definitely took a couple of inspirations. Specifically, Sunny in Philadelphia was an inspiration for the film.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I was trying to match the shooting style a little bit. Not completely, because it's feature length. You can't just do. You cannot shoot a Sunny episode for a feature length film and it be like entertaining the entire time.
Yeah, sure.
Even though Sunny is, in my opinion, hilarious.
Yeah. I like that show.
But yeah, so it very much I was trying to get the feel of like just a couple idiots trying to save the world. Well, you know, these guys are dumb. Like there's no reason, there's no real superheroes in the world. You know, obviously that was the whole big joke of the film, is that he thinks he's a superhero. He's actually not. I mean, we all think that as we're kids. Like we think we're superheroes.
Right.
So I thought it was really like important that it emphasized how stupid these characters acted.
Yeah.
And like in between all the superhero antics, like Vigilant doing cocaine as part of his training montage for his fan and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it definitely, Sunny was a huge inspiration. Obviously, I would say like the Deadpool films were another big inspiration, just for the vibe of the character, as well as Peacemaker. There's no particular reason why the name Vigilant does not sound like any character on that show. That's a joke, obviously. Those were definitely the big inspos for it, and the Batman, just because we were making fun of like other superhero properties at the same time.
Sure. Is there any reason that, so obviously the original short film was like a 2-minute like mockumentary on Vigilant. Is there any reason that you didn't go for the mockumentary style for the feature?
Yeah, actually. So I think when like, if I remember correctly, the reason why it ended up like that is because Sean specifically did not want to do a mockumentary for the feature, because he's the one that came up with the idea of like, let's just do this.
Sure.
And he's the actor for the film. And he had like 2 rules. One was, I don't take the mask or suit off the entire film, which ended up not being the case because A, it works narratively, and B, it was hot as hell when we were shooting. Yeah. That's why there's a whole scene in the film, or a whole moment in the film, where he's just going back in his car, taking off his jacket. It's just because we had to explain why he was taking off his jacket for a fight scene. And then the other rule was he didn't want a mockumentary for it, which I personally was more for the mockumentary idea, but I think having the narrative idea worked really well as well. I just think a mockumentary would be funnier because like you get all the characters in like sit down interviews and you're hearing like some of the super shit. But you know, I think it worked out as a feature.
I could kind of tell. I haven't seen the short. Is that on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. You can find it on the Promenio account, the Vigilant account, or on my profile.
Okay, because I haven't seen that yet, but I could kind of tell from the feature that it had the same sort of vibes, at least. Yeah. Just like the he felt very the main character Vigilant felt very natural. Yeah. Like the dialogue and stuff. So I could kind of tell that it was a bit mockumentary-ish, even though it wasn't necessarily like that for the feature.
Oh yeah, we definitely we were trying to go for like a realistic feel like he's actually in person, like a real character. And like for reference, the opening credits of the film, it takes inspiration from the mockumentary. It was my way of like kind of reconsolidating it into the feature for people who haven't seen it. But if you have seen it, then you know, like, oh, he's just making sure that you know this is all part of it.
Yeah.
So
the opening sequence was actually really solid.
Thank you.
I remember I was listening to like some guy talk about how to make a low budget feature, and one of his pieces of advice was to make the first couple minutes of the film and the last few minutes of the film really polished and like have a higher production value, so that when somebody goes into it, they come out of it, they think, oh, the entire film was like that. I think he was talking about Nolan's Following. When he was talking about that, his Nolan's very first like $6,000 feature.
Oh, really? Okay.
And like 2/3 of it was spent on like film.
Oh,
because this was like in '96, I think.
Yeah.
And so so like the first few minutes of his film was like using dollies and like smooth camera movements, and same with the last few minutes. But the whole middle portion of it was kind of like a cinema, like documentary verite style.
Yeah, I definitely I do agree with that. I heard like a great thing of advice, which was like audiences. So first of all, like audiences, they won't get they won't leave your film within the first minute. If they're going to the theater, that means they're planning on sitting down and watching it.
Yeah.
They will leave though after the first 15 if they don't find it interesting. So it is really important to get the first few minutes of the film at least interesting. And I think the opening credits and the opening scene work on like keeping the audience entertained enough to like keep them watching through the film. And then the final act, I do agree, like you need to have a solid finish for the film. Most films are they write the third act first because that's what you're building to the whole film. And I think out of the whole film, I personally loved the ending more than anything. I thought that worked the most. We shot the ending first. That was the very first thing. That whole final battle was like 2 days of shooting.
Yeah.
Or I'll say 2 days of shooting and then like 2 days of additional reshoots because we had some wind issues that first day where like none of that dialogue sounded good. But yeah, I think like the third act for me at least like really helped sell the film in my head, especially during editing when I've seen the film like 30 times and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I've made like the biggest pile of garbage ever, when it's not the case. You gotta actually like see the full film for it. And like, yeah, the premiere definitely helped with those nerves a lot about the film. I will also say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your like honest review of Vigilant Justice?
Honest
like,
review?
It's because I know it's hard as like the filmmaker because you don't want to be like, because like a lot of people helped you with it and stuff, so you want to be like respectful to that. But like if you were to for the stuff you did on your own end, like what's your reflection upon it?
I think I'm very open about my honest opinions about the film. Because like for me, Vigilant was like something I shot between my sophomore and junior year of college. Keep in mind, I like at this point, besides the first Vigilant short and another project that I will not name, Vigilant was like the first thing that took seriously directing. Because the first Vigilant short was just, we did that in 2 weeks, and the other short, I was thrown on director the day of. It was a class project. That's for reference.
Sure,
So it was the first thing I took seriously, and like I was learning how to use a camera during that time. I didn't even know what a good camera was. We were shooting on a Rebel T7 to begin with, which is like the camera you can buy from Target.
Yeah.
I know Owen's here like
yeah. We've used Rebels extensively in our filmography, don't worry.
But so like for me, a lot of it was a huge learning process. I think I learned a lot when it comes to directing, like how to and also producing, how to manage a crew, how to manage your time. Huge respect for pre-production. Like I wish that I had at least like 2 more months of planning before we shot, because then we wouldn't have had to gone back and reshoot a lot of it. That said, like I like a lot of the footage for me, like still I'm looking at it and I go, oh God, like just because for me like it's old. It's I think a lot of my work now like reflects a lot of my skill now in comparison. Like I think my thesis film of life with was like a huge gap in like quality, like overall quality compared to Vigilant. But then that all being said, like we had the premiere and then like everybody's coming up to me and they're like, this film is so funny, like, and they all enjoyed the film. So like I honestly couldn't review it for you guys. Like I would say for me, I think it's good in a sense of like if you sit down and watch the whole thing, you'll have a laugh, you'll have fun, and that was kind of our goal at the end of the day, is to entertain everyone. But I obviously can't say it was like Oppenheimer, where it's like a Oscar-worthy film. I do think it's a good film. Film overall though.
It was something I actually kind of noticed going into the movie, because I obviously, as the person who primarily works as or wants to be a DP, I'm pretty anal about like how a film looks and like the production value of the films. Like you want to get it to look as good as possible with your limitations. And Jake and I were talking about this earlier today. Like even some of the films that we shot in like January of last year, we look back on it and we're like, what the fuck is that? Like that looks horrendous.
No, I
even
totally
compared to something that was shot in August of the same year. Like that 8-month window was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That being said, obviously the film wasn't like, you shot it on a T7 and a, what you said, like a Blackmagic 4K,
we swapped because we got a way better camera. Our Sean got a way better camera. He was letting me use that. It was a Blackmagic 4K. I think we also used a Blackmagic 6K for a couple scenes. It was shot in 4K anyways, but we had another person on set named Graham, and they brought their camera. Then that was the 6K. So he was our main camera operator. He wasn't DP though, just because we didn't really have time for a DP.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a over explanation. I tend to do that.
Yeah,
a
no,
lot.
you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that being said, because obviously, even though the film doesn't look like a Hollywood movie or anything, it looks like you took a T7, threw a light off to the side, and shot it, which is probably what it was.
Yeah, a lot of it was that. I will happily admit to that. It works for a lot of the scenes, though.
Yeah. So even saying with that, I was kept engaged, honestly, by the story.
Thank you.
It hurts me to say that you can get away with a good story and subpar production value.
Yeah.
But if you have a solid script and a solid story and the cinematography complements the story in some way, you can get away with it.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's actually like a double-edged knife with that statement as well, because I think that there are some really beautiful shows that are really well shot, that are freaking terrible stories. Not to use this as like the prime example, but like I think Euphoria season 2 is an example of like, I don't think the quality was really good compared to the first season. There was a lot of storylines that fell off. Personally for me, like I don't know the one actress, but she's the one that was doing all the like online porn stuff in the show. And like she had an arc in season 1 that was great, but then season 2 they just are like, yeah, she's there for a couple episodes, and then like Rue, like nothing happens from her arc, honestly. But like, point being is that the show has such beautiful visuals that like I remember a lot of people online being like, this show is so good, it's still at the same quality, and to me I was like, not as much. But then you watch a movie with like really terribly shot footage, honestly, but you can get away with it because of the story. I think, like, for example, the Blair Witch Project,
I was going to mention
which
that.
is a film that's done with found footage is some of the worst footage you'll see
obviously.
But it's like meant to be like
intentionally,
that. And then you have this captivating story where it keeps you entertained, and it's like you'll completely forget about how bad the footage was as long as you were engaged by the story. And like, I think the story for Vigilant has always been my favorite thing about it. Just this guy who is like thinks he's a superhero goes, you know what? This guy who fairly criticized me, he's a bad guy. We need to prove him wrong. And then spending the whole film trying to prove this innocent man as a terrible person. I think that's such a funny concept for a story. And I think it worked really well in our film. And I think like the way I describe the arc of Vigilant is it's a parody character who goes from parody to normal. Like he is someone who is a parody of a hero who goes to a normal person at the end, or even somewhat of the likes of a hero, because that's his natural progression. And I didn't want to just make the film pure parody. Obviously, I think I personally prefer satire or like stuff that lives in a little bit more in the realm of realism, at least. And so that's why that arc worked arc worked really well for me, because he was just going from this complete idiot to someone who's realizing the folly of their actions and like realizing their mistakes and coming out of it at least a somewhat better person because of it.
Do you feel like you're more drawn to characters like that are like they intrinsically view themselves as like good, but they like when you're watching it, the audience views them as like a terrible, because I when I was watching Vigilant, like he's obviously like a murderer. He just straight up murders people. Like, and has no issue with it. But
does drugs.
Do you find yourself more drawn to characters like that and creating characters that are like they think they're good, but they're just awful?
I think for me with film, it's always a question of morality. And like what your morals are with any art form, actually. And so like for me, I do think characters are a lot more complex in the sense of like, they're not just purely good or interesting. Don't get me wrong though, like Captain America is like one of my favorite heroes of all time, and he stands for like basically just good. Same thing with Superman. He's a character that's purely good. So that I don't think those stories are necessarily not unengaging, you know, but I think with like characters like Vigilant, I like just characters that are baked in realism. And in real life, none of us are perfect. We all have complexities to us. We all have issues that we're all going through. Not everyone knows about them. And so I really like those characters that have to really like, you have to really like view their humanity and view like them for who they are, whether they be purely good intentioned or not. And with Vigilant, that's kind of who he is. He's someone who actually does have good intentions at the end of the day. He's trying to save lives, despite how effed up all those
Right.
his view on morality is.
Right.
But it's more interesting to me to see that character try to like evolve and try to be better as a person than to have that that not Sir Lancelot. I'm like Prince Charming character where it's just they're good
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that makes it a little bit more interesting for me, at least when through my storytelling.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever heard of the 5x5 short film?
I have not.
So it's not actually a short film; it's more of a concept. I actually just found about it recently. I think it's like a thing on like the Cinematography subreddit.
Okay.
It's a short film comprised of 5 shots that are 5 seconds each.
Okay.
So it's a 25-second short film, and obviously the intention isn't like to submit it to festivals or anything.
Yeah.
It's literally like the best way to improve at your craft is making things.
Yeah.
And I feel like nowadays a lot of people are kind of have a analysis paralysis
Yeah.
when making stories, or just like they do research watching YouTube videos about a new $10,000 camera that's coming out. Jake and I actually just kind of thought up a concept for a film that's kind of similar to that earlier today.
Yeah.
That we're planning on making. But anyways,
If you don't want to share it on the podcast, you can tell me.
yeah,
afterwards.
I mean,
Top secret.
top secret.
Oh
idea.
yeah, I mean, I have films I'll share with you guys after the podcast because I don't want that.
Yeah,
getting-
we'll tell you
Yeah.
after.
We have like I think Chalamet is attached. I think
No, it was Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. I don't think he would be good though. I mean, let's cut that. Actually.
Whatever. Anyways,
Yo, I'm not
let's
supposed
that.
to spoil this, but like,
Yeah.
I got this guy who his name is also Ryan, right? He starred in this like Barbie movie. He's gonna be in the next film, dude.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
So, I'm not supposed to leak this, by the way. Don't tell anyone.
Literally me.
I wish.
No, I guess one more thing about Vigilant Justice is I mean, what is it like to, since we're talking about famous A-list actors, they usually get all this credit for playing only one character.
Yeah.
But the great Ryan Sagun didn't play just 1 or two characters. He
Yeah.
played, I believe, 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Sextuplets.
Sextuplets.
Sagan.
It was originally octuplets, but we cut a couple deaths.
I mean, what's that like?
So that was like I said, this production was very quick paced, and it was also very low budget. If you guys are curious, like I only spent like $2,500 on the whole film. Like I want to say maybe combined with Sean and Blake's input, maybe up to $4,000. It wasn't that much. But like we're shooting this film, we have action scenes that don't have our actors involved, and we need stunts. And there's some stunts that are like this character needs to get stabbed in the dick, or like I got thrown into a tree at one point, and like it's just because I don't as a director, I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't ask my actors to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Fair
and
enough.
I didn't have money for stuntmen. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I will be the stuntman for basically every scene that we need. We only had 2 stunts that weren't our actors, like our main actors playing their characters that were not me, which was my sister getting shot in the head. And then Blake, who plays Harold Hunter in the film, he threw on an afro and did like a tackle to Vigilant because we can't see his face at all. But then we just decided, you know what would be funny? We'll just say it's like octuplets. It ended up being sextuplets, but we're like, we'll just say it's the same like sibling every time, and it just works. Like, because it's just a simple explanation. I mean, this film, we have orange-tipped guns throughout the film, which is like those are airsoft guns. By the way, the reason for that being so we could shoot outdoors without getting shot by a police officer. But like then in our opening credits for the film, there's just a quick headline that says "Orange-tipped guns become new government mandate." And then that's our explanation for it. Is like, so if anybody questions,
catch that.
Yes, it's lazy. I will completely admit, but it's in there. There's an explanation. So like,
Yeah.
That's clever though. I mean, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch it either.
Yeah.
yeah. So that when people complain, then I'll be like, it's right there. It says, it says it in the film.
No, when I saw you die like 5 or 6 times, I swear, because obviously there's a lot of misdirection going on in terms of what Harold actually is doing in the film.
Yeah.
I swear it was like going to be some kind of cloning machine, and he just had like infinite Ryans just running at Vigilant.
You see, I wish I thought about that. I did.
Yeah.
No, it's just simply it was just we needed to figure out what we were going to do with this. I think we shot that scene, the first scene where you see me pop up. We shot that like our second week of shooting, like literally in my house. The majority of the film takes place at my house somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, all right, well, this is our explanation. It is Ryan is all the sextuplets. They are just all the same sibling, and it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah, there was the orange chipped guns. There was like the prescription with like painter's tape and the name of the thing sharpied onto it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the pills. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's like you do it because holy shit, we're on set. We just didn't think about this prop. Let's do this real quick.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. I didn't have stickers or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just said, screw it, let's grab some tape and write at Hunter Industries on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can barely tell it says that as well,
Yeah.
but it just works.
It's within the spirit of the film, like
Yeah.
realistically.
Oh yeah.
On Vigilant, you said the budget was like around $4,000. Obviously, you don't have the
at
exact
most, yeah.
itinerary. What did that like go to?
A lot of it came down to props, like buying different pieces of equipment. I'm like very thankful for the cast and crew for like how like much they were willing to put into the film. Like the ones that were, because we had cast members or crew members that were there for like a day. You know, they're only there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
But then we had crew members that were there, like our sound recordists, for like weeks on end, and like they were just excited to be working on a feature film. They read the script and they were like, "This is funny. Like, I want to be a part of this." So like I didn't have to spend money on food, which I wouldn't do nowadays. I'd pay for food for everyone now, but like we didn't have to spend money on food like that. I mean, we bought drinks to have on set, and then we did provide snacks. That was another thing. But like meals, we would all run to like Baja Fresh, specifically at Sean's request, Baja Fresh or Habit,
Habit's gas.
to like for food, and then like so it was mainly props, and then like every now and then we'd have to pay like for a specific thing, like Laz, who plays Mason in the film, he was doing it for free, but he was having to commute every time because he was all the way in. We were shooting in Livermore, Pleasant Hill, and he lives in Bay Point, I believe, or Brentwood, one of the two. I'm not entirely sure. So we'd have to. I paid for like his, like I gave him like a $50 Uber certificate, like just so that way he can like get a couple rides for not on him. We paid for the actors in the very opening scene of the film because that shoot took place months after production. It was one of the few scenes we hadn't gotten when we actually shot the main principal photography. So I think I gave each of the actors like $50 for like 2 hours of work. It wasn't anything too crazy for them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Emily got the most money out of it for her buck. She said a couple lines off camera and then stood still. Right?
Yeah.
Like you know, but it was like we had to pay them to get them to come out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I honestly like it's just like making those purchases for like software if we needed it, like Adobe. We were editing on Adobe for quite a bit for the film. I personally edit on Adobe just because I haven't made the switch to DaVinci yet. And then just like stuff like that. That's all where it went to. I have a list somewhere, but it was mainly props and like the here and now purchase of like we need like to pay this actor or we need to like help provide. But I'm very thankful for the cast and crew for being willing to commit so much for like just to work on the film, because like I mean it is weird to hear like a student filmmaker say, "Hey, we're gonna make a feature film."
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, I was shocked with the amount of people that were just like on board from the get go, going, "Oh yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea."
Yeah.
If I heard that from like a friend of mine, I would have been like, "You're freaking insane. What are you on?" What about?
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's like the thing that I would be most hesitant with for doing a feature, because we actually have a feature script written that was written like, I don't know, over a year ago easily. Just like ask like we don't know enough people who are willing to hop on a film set for free for months at a time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like because obviously before we make this feature, and we're gonna make it eventually, but before we do it, we are probably gonna try to do some sort of crowdfunding campaign.
I'm in the same boat for my next feature as well, because I'm working on it right now. And
Vigilant Justice 2?
No.
No. Damn. The prequel. It's the prequel.
On that we joke about a sequel. There is actually, after I was done with the first Vigilant, I did write a holiday special script. That is, I'll just spoil it because we're not going to shoot it. But the whole joke of it is he kidnaps a mall Santa thinking it's the real one. And it's like torturing them.
That'd be pretty funny.
But yeah, and like he's like, you ruined Christmas for me. And it's like,
okay, I
it's
see.
like goes like a flashback, and he's like killing people in the mall. It's like, okay, Vigilant, that's not on.
That's
the
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, no, it was like I think what made it work is the fact that we had like our entire crew and cast were all students at the end of the day. Like, yeah, some of these guys could be working professionally, like Ryan Calhoun, our sound recordist. He definitely could work sound professionally.
Yeah, he's great.
He did a great job recording. And then like, yeah, like Graham, like he's a great DP / director. I've helped him produce one of his films, and he's excellent. But I think because everyone was a student, and the pitch for it was like, we want to just have this for our resume to say, look what we did as students. Imagine what we did this for barely any money. Imagine what would happen if you gave us millions, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of like the pitch for it, and like that's why like everyone was willing to come on board. We did have those sets though, where like we had like I think the worst day was like literally like I was on camera. We had our sound recordist there, and then we had Sean. And like there's very few scenes where Sean is the only person in the film. So like we had to make stuff work for some of those sets. Like we didn't have dedicated people for every role. The only two people that I could say were on set every single time were me and Sean. And then like majority of the time would say our sound recordist, our assistant director, and then our producer Blake. But everyone else it would just be cast members besides that.
Yeah.
So it is a struggle. It is a struggle. I will say that. It is a struggle getting people to work for free. I highly don't recommend it for a feature.
Yeah.
But it is doable. I mean, it was possible with our... you just have to... I think you honestly just have to have like a good script and a good vision, and like just got to get people to go, we want to do this.
I think a good script is honestly the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because I've done my share of working for free for people. I've DP'd a couple films for free. I'm gaffing one right now, and a couple of the ones that I've DP'd, they were not great scripts, and it just like obviously I wanted to go for experience and like get the real shots and stuff, but like they weren't great scripts, and as a result it kind of just felt like a slog to get through.
No, I totally understand that as well. I mean, like literally, working for free. I'm working this weekend on a production as a BTS photographer for free just because I need more photography experience. But I like it is a struggle working for free on every production. My parents, like, because I don't even live because we're in Sacramento right now for most of these films, because I went to Sac State. I know that's where all my connections are at. And like most of the time when I'm going up to SAC, my parents just go, "Oh God, not again!" Because like they know it's costing me money every time I go to SAC. But like, it is just I am just going for the work at the end of the day, because I'm like I need the experience, I need the practice. And especially when I'm in roles like DP or like I'm helping produce or something like that. It's like I really should be there. But yeah, I will agree. Like there's been a couple. I rarely turn down scripts to like help people with, because like I want to be helpful, but there is that odd script here and there where I'm just like, oh God, like I don't want to work on it. And it's sometimes not the director's fault. Well, actually it is the director's fault because they're the one that's usually written it. But right. It's just, that's not formatted properly to any degree, or like I can't really see what they're trying to do with it, or like they wrote a comedy script, and like I read the script and I went, I don't find it funny anywhere. Like there are those scripts where I'm like, I don't want to do that. There's other ones though where it's like you read it and you think it's going to be great, and then you see the final product and you went, oh come on. So it's I get the struggle. You like, but when you do work for free on that film that does super well, like it turns out like it's the best feeling in the world. I've had several films that like have done well, and like I worked for free on them. I can't think of one coming to mind specifically off the top of my head. I worked for really cheap on like 100 Dates, which was a short film. That was like a horror film, and I was the editor for it. So I had like the biggest commitment to the project besides the director. And that one's getting like, that one won like best horror short at a festival at SAC International, won best avant-garde, and like that makes me feel good. And when it won best avant-garde, I was shooting the next film with the guy. The director of it. So like it just made me feel even more confident in the next film we were working on,
Did I tell you how I met Sean?
Yeah. Well, no, you didn't, but Sean told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, we came off of the set of I'll See You Again when you AD'd for it. We can talk about that in a second too.
We should probably also clarify who Sean is.
Okay, yes. Sean, the what was he, producer?
So Sean was the actor for Vigilant, but also he was the executive producer and editor for Vigilant Justice. Yeah. He's worked on quite a few films with him. I'm currently in an LLC with him called Prominio. But that's who he is for reference.
He's like you two made it together essentially. You two made Vigilant Justice together.
Yeah.
So obviously we came off the set of I'll See You Again, and you were telling me about we shot this feature film a couple summers ago. I'm like, holy shit, wow, you shot a feature. So obviously I knew about Vigilant Justice, like the film, and I was on the set for this guy named Parker. I was his gaffer for the day.
I know Parker. Yeah, he provided the red carpet for the premiere actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So I think Sean was like effectively the location manager for it.
Yeah, because Terrace's Co-working was you shot at Terrace's Co-working, which is where the Prominio office is also at. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he like provided that, and I was just like walking over to the location, and I just peeped into his office as he was on his computer, and I saw a Vigilant Justice poster hanging up in there, and I'm like, "Yo, holy shit, a Vigilant Justice poster!" He's like, "Yeah, it's Vigilant Justice." I'm like, "Yo, shit, how do you know Ryan?" He's like, "Dude, I am Vigilant."
That's hecka funny. Yeah.
I'm like, "You are what?"
Yeah, and then you probably couldn't even tell, but Blake, who is like PA on Parker's film, is also heralded.
Yeah, I didn't know that until like I think I saw the trailer for Vigilant Justice or something. But like, he was I think it was an AC.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, it was the Vigilant Justice reunion minus you.
Yeah, no, it's hecka funny. First of all, like that was funny when Sean told me. He's like, he's like, Owen just walks into the office and goes, "Yo, did you work on that film?" It's even funnier because he's wearing a mask, but it's him on the poster, so it makes it funnier. But yeah, it's a small world. We all live in Cali and NorCal, so we're all bound to run into other filmmakers at some point. I mean, I've seen sets where I see other filmmakers I know interact with people from my community college, and I go, "Oh, yeah, how did you know each other?" But it's just all the connections around here, which is it's really cool at the end of the day. Just getting to see oh, cool, that person I know worked with that person that from a completely different circle. It's just nice to see everyone working together.
Yeah. And I walked because obviously I didn't know anything besides you wrote and directed Vigilant Justice.
Yeah.
So at first when I saw it, I was like, "This is fucking weird. Why does this random dude have a Vigilant Justice poster? Did Ryan send it to him? Yeah. And if he sent it to him, why the fuck is it up in his why is it standing in his office?
Yeah. Yeah. You're standing in the Prominio office.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I printed 20 posters, and half of them went to people at my high school job because I worked there all the way till the end of sophomore year of college. So but yeah, fun fact: if you go to McGrail Vineyards in Livermore, you won't see it from the outside, but as long as from the last time my friend was working there, they have a Vigilant Justice poster hanging in the back office area.
It's cool.
But yeah, I want to do a little reflection on Isya.
Just invite him over here to talk about our film.
Fuck it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, which film is this?
I'll See You Again.
Oh, yeah.
How was that experience first ADing
and
for
feel
us?
free to say it was the best experience of your life.
No, it was interesting. I didn't know you guys yet.
Yeah.
Owen, for context, Owen just messaged me after I made my media account. He was like, "Hey, if you ever need help." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, if you ever need help as well." He's like, "Actually, I got a project." I'm like, "Oh, sick." All right. So I just ended up on your guys' project, and I felt bad because an 80s meant to not just do scheduling and stuff, but you guys had taken care of a lot of the producing side of stuff. So I was just well, I can get a schedule and a shooting schedule done for you guys. I can review the stuff, but it turned out really well. It was interesting. Again, people you just know, Jessica was your guys' makeup artist, and I know her. And then I hadn't worked with Phoenix yet, but Phoenix was in every J Street film from Sac State. For reference, Sac State has a festival at the end of the year, or end of each semester for different filmmakers to show off their work. That's where my senior film played.
Just showing off the theses, basically.
Yeah, showing off the theses, but additional projects throughout the school. I only ever had 2 projects in there, which was my thesis, and then I had another one. But So it was interesting because like I felt bad because I'm like I could do so much more. Well, and especially our first day, like we just had one location and we had like all day to shoot essentially.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I was trying to keep you guys on schedule, but at the end of the day, I was like, we have this one location. Like if we go over, it's not the end of the world.
Whatever, yeah.
But no, it was really cool getting to work with you guys on that, and then I'll see you again. Yeah, I was just keeping the schedule moving. That film. Oh, no, I'll see you again. Death Knows My Name. That one we definitely need to make sure the schedule is moving on that one because you guys had only 4 hours to actually shoot in there without any major complications. Yeah. So like, yeah, like no, it was really fun working on the project. I was happy to see it all come together. It looked really great. Great job DPing, despite what Jake says behind your back.
Whoa, that's not true.
But no, and like it was really nice because also like you had like a ton of gear, which is like rare among like student filmmakers, not because we're all broke at the end of the day. Like I've only worked on one set with more gear than yours, and that was like a set with like $50,000 worth of gear.
Sure.
And but like it was dope like getting to see like actual like your cinematography in action, Jake's directing in action, like getting to see everyone like working together and how that film turned out. And it's doing well. I mean, you guys got into Bash, you got into SAC International. Has there any other festivals it's been in, or were you guys waiting on some?
No, we're waiting on
two.
Yeah. So we got denied from Butte Film Fest.
Well, everyone got denied from Butte.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was
just like
they have fucked up people.
I think they let in The Perfect Murder, which was but like besides that, like every other film that like got accepted. Oh, sorry, because they reached out to a lot of filmmakers.
Yeah.
And I don't think my guess is they didn't expect that many, but like the way they did it is they like, from what I understand, is they basically like only took a certain amount of films per category. Yeah. So they only wanted like a certain amount of drama films and stuff like that, and so just a lot of people got rejected from it.
Yeah. I think because we talked with like the Curtis, I think is the guy's name who like programs it. He said that because our category was the most packed, which is I think drama films under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the drama film under 10 minutes was like a 1 hour block. They got 6 hours worth of submissions.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like they do got to cut it down to that point.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I totally understand, but I remember a lot of like, it's weird when a festival reaches out to you, asks you to submit, and then they reject you because it's like, why did you reach out in the first place? Like, I don't know. Like, I've had like those festivals like be like, oh yeah, we'll give you a discount and all this stuff. You submit it, and then it's like, we rejected you. I'm like, okay, then why did you reach out? I mean, I get it, but
I mean, that's just a fucking like. I'm not gonna say scam, but like
it's not a scam, but it's annoying.
You get emails from Film Freeway all the time with like festivals.
Yeah,
because if they really want you, give you a free submission waiver. Like, don't make you fucking pay for it if they reach out to you.
Oh, and if they give you a free submission waiver, I use it.
Yeah, of course.
To be fair though, like how I know a festival's a scam now though, because they'll reach out about Pretty Boy, which was the other film I directed before Vigilant.
Yeah,
and. No offense to everyone that worked on it, but it's a pile of shit. And I can say that because I will tell you, I did a majority of the work that is uncredited. It was a whole mess with someone on the project who will not be named. But it just, I get those emails every now and then. It's like, submit Pretty Boy. And I'm like, you freaking liar. Because I did it once because I got a free one. And then I did it again because I got another free one. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I started getting all the paid ones. And I'm like, they don't want this film. Like, and the other reason why I submitted is because I was getting it from like Tokyo International, which is like, which is like, okay, maybe they just don't know how bad it is in English. But but then afterwards I was like, okay, these are all scams. Just ignore them whenever they submit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're waiting on 2 more for LCU again. We're waiting on Oakland International,
okay,
which is
we'll get the notification dates on the Valentine's Day.
So 2 days.
Right. 2 days from now, yeah.
You'll have to let me know. I mean, I live near it, so
yeah. And then we're also waiting on Sacktown Movie Buffs.
I have a few friends I've gone to that one.
We are unlikely to get Jake. Want to talk about that because.
It was actually interesting because this has never happened before. I don't know if this happens often, but basically they have like a podcast or show or some kind of thing where they invite you.
I've seen a couple clips from it. I think Parker was on it.
That's how I found it. And so I kind of emailed them. I was like, oh, if you ever need, because they said you can email them to get on or whatever. So I emailed them. like, oh yeah, we're done for the year, but because this was in 2024, like December, so they're like, yeah, for next year we can definitely like slot you in. And then also they're like, we have your film, I'll see you again. And they gave us like what the judges were saying about it. Yeah. They like gave us like, yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because they were like, so they're like, there's 10 judges we have, 4 of them have seen it so far. And
this is what they said.
And this is what they said. And it was like 2 sentences, basically, like a 2-sentence review from each of them.
I've gotten one of those before, not from Sacktown, but
yeah. So I never had seen that before, but it was just kind of insightful and probably the most, at least like important one that we got. The most profound one was basically said like, it's good, it's dark, but is it good for mass audiences? Essentially,
that's a good question.
And that is like that's probably the most important thing for a festival is like, is this going to be accessible?
Yeah, because unless it's like Sundance, where like, which you have to know people to get into that, but but you're putting, that's a festival where like they're expecting something that's not going to be audience worthy. Yeah, you got to really wonder like if like this is good for people to watch, like multiple people to watch, or if this is very specific for someone. You don't want to put out something where it's like so dark that even like the people that enjoy like the really dark stuff is like, oh my god,
and I think I'll See You Again falls into that category a little bit.
Not too much. I would say like it's dark, but I don't honestly think it's that dark.
I think because this is my one like big criticism of it, and obviously we weren't going into it with the intention of a mass audience film, but like if you are a normal person who maybe goes to the Avengers movies when they come out, goes to the newest Rock movie, whatever that is, and then
I'm good. Sorry.
Near-death experience.
Yeah, you go to those like blockbusters, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you see like, I don't know, what's like a niche movie that got into the like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything
maybe?
Everywhere.
Parasite, Anora. Yeah. Maybe you see those.
Yeah.
And then I send you I'll See You Again, and you're like, why the fuck am I watching this?
Yeah.
It's definitely very specific to people who are cinephiles. Who enjoy those kinds of movies, and ultimately that probably isn't what most festivals want.
No, and honestly though, like, it's one of those things where it's like you get rejected from a festival, you're like, oh dang, what did I do wrong with my film? Sometimes it just isn't the right festival for you.
Sometimes not the right festival. Sometimes they have too many submissions.
Especially, I mean, like, I think the closest I got to like I tried submitting a Life With to a bunch of major festivals because I was like, F it, let's see what like I can get into in the major stuff. The closest we got was Dallas International. They sent me an email. They said that because I got rejected, but they asked me to submit to their shorts competition, saying like it was just one of those films that ended up getting pushed out because it just didn't work. I was like, I'm really submitted to the shorts. And we came really close apparently. Like they actually told us like we were on the list of like films that were on the fence, but we didn't get in either, which is like, dang. But they have like a ton of submissions. Like that's a big festival,
competitive ass festival,
festival. So like, it's the best tip I got was always try to submit local more than anything because. The other thing being is who are you going to know from that festival or who are you going to meet at that festival that's going to help you at the end of the day? Yeah. And if you're not. I mean, honestly, if like, sure, to be dope to get into like South by Southwest, which is one of the biggest festivals on the planet. But if you're getting into like a smaller festival than that, then like you're not really going to be using any of those people on your films or using those connections as well as you would like.
Yeah, it's also to go into because like the main point of smaller festivals is networking.
It's networking and it's getting your film shown.
Yeah, because like if you get a smaller film shown to like Dallas, for example.
Yeah.
Would you even go there if you got accepted? Like, would you fly
if I got into Dallas, which that is a big festival, I definitely would have gone because you never know in the sense of like if you could meet a good producer there, that would be like it. Right. If I know A Life With isn't like a perfect film. I'm fully aware of that. But like if I did get in, right, I definitely would go because at least there's a chance I might meet someone who might be able to like help further my career a little bit more. But like like again, like unless. That's a major festival though. That's not like what is it? Aspiring Minds, which is a festival that takes place in Martinez.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that one.
Which I've gotten into, but it's mainly local submissions where you're meeting people who live in the area.
Yeah. No, I mean I think I would definitely go out somewhere like that. Just if it got in, I mean it's like such a low chance, getting in. It's like fuck
You
it.
gotta go.
Yeah,
you gotta
go.
I had it like literally
Yeah.
like I had it written down on my calendars in case I did get into any of them. I was like, and if I did get
You were
in, I
trying to,
would have
like, will it.
immediately booked a
Yeah.
flight, booked
Yeah.
a flight in a hotel. I'll be like, okay, I'm going. Yeah.
You should have bought the flight anyway, and then when they reject you, be like, actually, I already like bought a flight.
Knock, knock,
Like,
knock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, here's my flash drive. Play this.
Yeah. I'm actually like outside already, so you might as well.
I've actually hacked into your system, thrown my film into your film queue, and
Yeah.
it's actually in there now. So you're just gonna have to accept the fact.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Just like brute force it.
A life with will play.
It's like they're like South by Southwest, like they're playing like I'm trying to think of like Monkey Man, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like right before the Life with Justice.
Yeah.
Talk about the exact same audience for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, exact same. That's not a different audience at all.
Nah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean that definitely is the biggest benefit though of just like local festivals is getting to know people, because that's also good. Like for the Sacramento festival we did, the Sacramento International Film Festival. That's where I'll See You Again got into. When I went to that one, I met I think he's also a Sac State guy. David something. He like does music. He's a composer.
I might have heard of him.
He's done a couple films
Okay.
like in that circle.
Yeah.
Can't remember his last name, but he's gonna compose the script I just sent you the other day.
Oh, dope! All
for
right.
the next upcoming film in hopefully March, sometime in March.
Oh yeah, composers, man, they can help a lot.
Yeah. So but I met him at the festival, and he sat next to us, and he was watching it, and he was like, "Oh, Phoenix," because like he goes to Sac State, so he knew who that was. And then he talked to me afterward. He was like, "Do you go there?" I was like, "No, we liked his acting, and we got him on the set."
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a huge. It's going to be a huge benefit now, or a huge advantage now, because we have him for the next film.
Just
so.
you just met him at a festival.
And it just was a chance meeting, you know.
I mean, it's crazy like what can happen for like Vigilant Justice. Our actress Leva had gone to LOSPO, if I remember correctly, LOSPO Film Fest, right? Which was the first year since it was back. It was like not disabled. I'm saying disabled like it's a video game. They stopped doing it for a few years.
Yeah.
But they brought it back, and the very first one, a bunch of actors showed up and like were giving out like their headshots. Which, like, for me, I was like a student at the time. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. Especially because that year I was planning on moving to SAC, and this was before the feature film was like really in development. But she had given it to our sound recordist Ryan Calhoun, and we were trying to get an actress for Nancy, the character, and he just goes, our sound recordist just goes, "Hey, let me give you the contact for Leva. She handed me this at the festival. I have not seen her act at all." All right, and I'm not even joking. We didn't even do like the way we auditioned her is so unconventional. I had her over the phone. I talked to her about the script a little bit. I said, "Are you interested?" Yeah. I gave her about a week to read her lines. I asked her if she could record it. She's like, "Actually, can we just do a phone call?"
Yeah.
So she delivered her lines over the phone like to me. I was like, "You sound great."
Yeah.
and then personally to me, she was one of the better parts of the film, like altogether. But it's only because she went to the festival and like was handing out her headshot that she was able to get on the project.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the benefit of festivals. You just meet random people and you just can have them on any production ever.
Yeah, she was solid. Yeah, that's how we met that's how I met Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because the chain was funny. We went to the Mixer for Camera Kitchen, a local rental house.
Oh yeah.
That's where we met you
Yeah.
and like everyone else. you were
Robert,
with.
Faith, Sam. These are all
Yeah.
filmmakers from SAC for reference.
Yeah. And so you guys told us about J Street, like because I think I think DuPont was showing. Well,
DuPont was playing there. There was a couple film. I PA'd on a bunch of films that semester, so
Yeah.
there was like 3 films I PA'd for all playing at J Street.
But so you were just like, yeah, that's J Street, and we're like, sure, why not? Let's go, sure. And then we saw Phoenix on like 2 films, and we're like, yeah, that guy's really good. And obviously at that point, I think we had the script written, and we were just waiting to cast people for it. So we just followed him on Instagram and reached out to him, and it's like, bam, from a random film mixer, we met the actor for.
Yeah.
And then Jessica, the makeup artist for the first day.
Yeah. Well, she's an actress as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know that until recently. Actually, it's kind of funny.
Oh, really? Are you serious?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny.
Because obviously we knew she was in the Phoenix, the perfect murder.
She was also in at that festival. She was also in Avery Has Skeleton.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I actually just saw that. I saw it the other day. Like a little.
Yeah.
I think you posted something about it.
Yeah.
And then I saw. Were you involved in that?
I was a PA on that.
Oh, okay.
I was a PA. So that semester I was not in the senior class. So I was a PA on Best Wishes, Dew Point, and Avery Skeletons. And it's so fun. Like I said, this is just who you know.
Yeah.
Like Best Wishes and Dew Point, the two directors for those films, knew I directed the semester before, and they both came to me, and I actually got to see their scripts before they even showed it to the class because they wanted advice on them.
Yeah.
So I just did a read through and I gave them notes on that.
Yeah.
But then like Avery, like I literally like the sound recorders for it is a girl named Leah Rarden. She's a friend of mine. She just goes, "Hey Ryan, I know you're PAing on all the sets this semester. Do you want to get on another one?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?"
Yeah.
Fuck it, why not?
No, yeah, but I saw that you posted that, and then in the like little video, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Jessica!" Like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. You know, that's funny.
No, she's also there's another film coming out. I was the BTS photographer on it. The Fire in Which All Things Burn. It's from Red Jack Pictures. That's our friend Robert's film.
Yeah.
She's acting in that as well as one of the main actresses.
Yeah, because I think originally how she came to be was like I was talking to like two other makeup artists, and both of them ended up falling through for various reasons.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, "Hey, Phoenix, you got any recommendations?" He's like, "Yeah, I got someone. I'll send it your way."
Yeah.
And that was I'm guessing from probably Perfect Murder or whatever they worked on together. But
I would assume Perfect Murder is where
I guess they had known each other, and so he was like, "Yeah, sure, here's a number." I'm like, "Okay," and then it ended up working out. So
yeah.
Yeah, this is also our first film that we ended up having to do any VFX on.
Really?
Yeah, the I'll bleep this out for the show, but the eye gouging where he takes off the bandage at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously Jessica helped us with the actual practical, but it didn't look quite right, mainly because of like the lighting I used.
Okay.
It just didn't blend in well enough.
Okay.
And so Jake found a VFX guy on like
Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit saves the day.
Yeah, and we just kind of sent it to him like, "Hey, can you color match this better and clean it up?" And he did it, and
that's dope.
It looks way better I think it probably saved the film.
That's cool.
Because like if we didn't pull that off, then like I don't think the film would have worked.
VFX man.
Yeah, well, also the prosthetics that we used were a little bit limited, I think. Because it doesn't really expose the whatever. I guess it's sensitive data since we were talking about it. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, the prosthetic we used wasn't, I guess, gory enough, and so the VFX really helped make it just a little bit extra more.
Oh yeah, I mean VFX
gory.
can save a lot of stuff. You can't save everything with it, obviously, but like, I mean, at least for like Vigilant, like, I mean, we have CGI in the film, and we added a couple VFX shots, and it just helps tell a story a little bit better. Like, this is really funny. So like the week before the premiere, there's a scene in the film. I don't want to spoil too much. It's the scene where one of them like gets injected with something, and then there's a whole like interaction where you see it going up.
Yeah.
I did that like because we didn't have time with our other VFX artists, right? Or like I just didn't have the time, so I did it myself. I threw that in like literally the week before the film. We added that VFX because I'm watching this. Well, we watched the film back like the week prior, and like we get to that scene, and Malachi just goes. This is one of the actors. He just goes, "Oh my god!" And it's like something's supposed to be happening, which it is in the script, but then like nothing happened on the shot initially. So I was like, "Yeah, I got to figure out a VFX for that." But like, then people were at the premiere and they're like, "That VFX was so cool." I'm like, "Oh,
it looks pretty solid."
But it helped because like you needed it. We needed it in order for that scene to actually work.
Yeah. Did you just like go on YouTube and like After Effects tutorial?
Literally, I looked up like a Godzilla scream or like Godzilla. Like I looked up like glowing veins specifically because there's a lot of stuff with glowing veins effects like Homelander and the Boys.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah, the yellow.
Yeah, you'll see that type of stuff. There was one that popped up like about Godzilla, like a Godzilla effect, and they do the veins for most of it. And then they add like the scream afterwards or whatever. We didn't need that, but I just literally followed that tutorial. I paid for a subscription for Mocha Pro on After Effects, which amazing by the way. I tried doing it without the Pro version and it did not look good. So yeah, like it VFX, they're awesome. They'll save your film in a couple seconds. I always try to avoid them ever since Vigilant, though. I'm like, you know what? We cannot do it in post. Let's try to do it in person first.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where you always kind of should go with it. It's you always try to do it practically. You always try to do it in camera. But you can, for certain things you can only get so far with it. Like I think for us, we probably got like 75-80% of the way with what we did.
Yeah.
Some things you can only get 10% of the way within camera. Some things you can get 95, but you want the extra 5%. It's just, like,
you need that like extra like, oh, there's a trash can in the back. Let me just remove it real quick in post and stuff like that. I mean, like it happens. Like you think you do your whole film and then you notice something off about a couple shots and you're like, I gotta do some kind of VFX work. But like, yeah, if you can do it practically, it looks so much better. This is why like Marvel films, for example, like they look bad sometimes nowadays because they do so much impractically now. Like I was looking at Captain America Brave New World's like recent trailer, and they did the same. They've been doing this nanotech mask for like the characters, and I know why. It's because like in overseas they want to be able to decide whether they're going to or just in general in the editing process they want to decide whether they're going to have the mask on in the scene or not.
Right.
But like it looks so boring every time I see that thing undo and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, just have him wear a mask in the scene. Yeah. And then if he's wearing a mask in the scene and you decide you don't want it, too bad. You have the mask in the scene. Yeah. It's like, not everything should be fixed with VFX, you know?
I've also seen some, it's like, I don't know what movie it was on. I was listening to someone talk about it, where they just shoot it with super flat lighting and then relight it in post.
Yeah,
so you could like I guess make the decision then. It's just like stop being like a bitch. Just stick to your decisions on set. Or make them in pre-production or something.
Marvel's again. I bring up Marvel because obviously it's one of the biggest like franchises of all time. But like there's this one scene from Black Widow where it's Yelena and Natasha. They're talking outside while they're like eating dinner. It's like dark out, right? And like it's a scene that takes place outside. You do not need to put a blue screen behind it, but they put a blue screen behind it and had a completely different background. Yeah. Now, granted, I couldn't tell that it was a blue screen when they did it. But like, think about how much money they could save on CGI if they actually just went to a location and shot it versus like that. That's why you gotta respect. I kind of respect Deadpool and Wolverine a lot more. Yeah. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the film. I think it was very funny, but the story was a little bit like all over the place at certain points.
Actually, yeah.
But like a lot of the sets were practical, and it feels real because the sets are practical. Like I think practical is always going to be better no matter what you do.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for me, I just have like a mental block of even considering using a soundstage, or because like I know like I've seen like BTS like Guardians of the Galaxy too, and it's just like they're walking across this. There's like a couple of like paper mache rocks, and then it's just blue. Yeah. And then they do everything with like just keying it and putting whatever background they want. It just like I just have like such a mental block of like knowing how it was shot and then seeing the final product and it just like not feeling real to me.
No, and I agree as well. Like I think worse than the Guardians films actually have really good visual effects. Ant-Man Quantumania, the VFX in that film looks so bad, and like it's because everything is on that blue screen. It's like I don't think there was a scene that was shot practical after the first act. And you can tell because it looks bad for majority of the film. The only scenes where it looks decent are like with Kang or like you know, like I and like as a director, I don't have an interest in doing a blue screen, to be honest with you guys. Like it's not I like to see real visuals, the real setting, the real environment. I think it's a waste of money doing CGI all the time. I mean, I'm not gonna say never, because like I'm gonna say this and then like 10 years down the line, Marvel's gonna be like, we're not hiring you. You don't want to do a blue screen.
I was gonna say, if Marvel gave you $250 million right now, I'm pretty sure you would have a different answer.
I would have a different answer. But that being said, if I was offered a directing position, I'd be like, I'd want to shoot as practical as humanly possible, because I do not want as much green screen. I do not want to blue screen everything.
Right.
I also know it's just like you always say that now, but and then there's like another point where it's like, okay, you have to pay $50,000 for this location, or you can build it for $15,000 on a soundstage. And it's like, I know I don't ever want to use sound stages, but like $35,000 is a lot of money.
It is a huge difference. That's why I'm not saying never say never. I personally do not want to do it. Yeah, I'll rephrase it. I don't want to do it when possible. If you can do it practically, do it practically.
Yeah.
Listen to that, Marvel. He's open to it.
Yeah. I am open, Marvel. Please hire me.
Yeah.
If Marvel let me direct a film, I think I would.
You would bend the knee
I
on
would-
everything.
Right.
I would actually probably destroy the whole franchise.
Derailment.
Can we just kill off everyone with no possibility of revival? Let's do that real quick.
No, because then you can't make money off of it.
Ah, shit.
That's the reason why no one ever dies permanently. They got to make money.
But
at
it
the end of
makes
the day.
sense.
That's why I liked
narratively,
Infinity
man.
War. Oh wait, is that the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, Infinity War. Yeah.
That's like the right.
No,
Was
yeah,
that-
that's both of them.
Yeah, and then
technically.
Endgame, it's like, oh, everyone's
Endgame.
back.
It's back.
Well, like, and then like, but like you say that about Infinity War, right? And like the three deaths
Yeah.
in Infinity War that aren't the people that get snapped
Yeah.
are Vision, Gamora, and Loki, who all have returned.
That's true.
Like Vision's White Vision, right?
Yeah.
Loki is a different variant, and then Gamora's a different variant. So it's like, okay,
Right.
like
I'm gonna
But
avoid
Iron-
you. I don't think I've watched a Marvel film in like half a decade.
really.
Yeah,
You know, that's fair. See, I love Marvel. It's my Star Wars growing up, right? I mean, you guys are the same age as me, or younger even. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Jake, you just turned 21.
I'm
correct?
21. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome to the world of alcoholism.
Yes. Thank you.
But no, they make good movies. The shows are what's rough.
yeah, and then
Oh,
them
yeah.
forcing you to watch the shows if you want to know what's happening in the
Yeah.
world.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, I mean, it's the same thing with Star Wars. Like, I haven't watched like Solo. I haven't watched a lot of the TV. I'm gonna watch Andor at some point.
I still haven't watched Andor, but every single person I know is like, that's the best Star Wars thing that they put
And I
out.
think
good.
it's solely because it's not a Star Wars show. It is a
Yeah.
show that takes place in the Star Wars universe.
That's the thing. That's what every like Star Wars show should be, or every Marvel movie should be.
Right.
It's a story that takes place, but it's not something that has to be. That's why I kind of like where DC's going with like all their stuff, is because
Yeah.
like James Gunn's like, we're story first. We're not building towards a connected universe, and I think that's what Marvel's missing from all of their movies and all that stuff. Is that like the first three phases? Yeah, each movie had like a connection to each other to some degree, but it wasn't a strong one. Like you could watch all the Captain America movies without seeing Age of Ultron. I mean, you might want to see the first Avengers, but you don't have to see Age of Ultron to understand Civil War, right? But like the movies now, like it's like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like the Marvels, which was Marvel's first actual flop of a film, like monetarily, I mean,
Yeah.
right? You had to watch WandaVision and you had to watch Miss Marvel, and if you hadn't watched
with
them,
those both shows.
those were both
Yeah.
shows, yeah. And they tried to help you catch up by putting like a huge montage at the beginning of the film. And I watched that and I went, this is boring as hell. Because
Yeah.
I've already seen all of this. But like that's because I'm a fan. For the audience, they kind of need that. But like that doesn't make a good film. You got to actually have a reason for these characters to like be interacting in a natural way. That's why good sequels never rely on the first film and the thing. And that's where I think Marvel's failing, is that a lot of their sequels are films where you need to have seen other projects.
Yeah.
Where I should just be able to walk in and go, this is a cool film. I mean, that's how like that's how we all got into Star Wars. Like,
Right.
we could have started anywhere and then we would
Yeah.
have been fine.
Yeah. And then that's all ultimately to sell Disney Plus subscriptions too.
Right.
Which is a whole other conversation about business versus art and filmmaking. but
Yeah.
anyways.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So what's next for
What's next?
Ryan Sagun Productions?
Well, I have a short film in the works right now that you guys know about. You guys
Yeah.
are actually helping out on that when I get the script done and
Yeah, boy.
pitched and everything. But and hopefully that script will be done before the month ends. I am working on a script for a feature film right now that I've been working on for probably about the past year, because it's been a lot of mental gymnastics of figuring out what I want to do with it, figuring out a lot of stuff. I don't want to say too much right now, because also it might just never get filmed, because I would want a budget this time around.
What's your realistic number?
For a good budget, I mean, like
If you launch a Kickstarter right now, what would your goal be for that film?
it really depends. Like, I would say like 100,000 would be good, because not to say that like, you know, I don't want to pay my crew or anything like that, right? But if I could get like filmmakers who are passionate about the project, and like it's a huge standard of quality, right? I think I just need money for locations and food at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, again, like with Vigilant, I would, trust me, I want to pay my crew every time, but I'm broke. I'm broke as fuck. But like I think with Vigilant, again, like a big appeal to everyone, and the reason why everyone was willing to commit to it was because it was like the idea of the project and the story itself were fun. You know, I don't think that Yeah, I think they were all interested in doing a feature film. I don't think they were all interested in doing a bad feature film. Right? So I think if I were to do it again, like do a second feature, I want enough money to be able to afford locations and afford food for the crew specifically. But then I would want to be able to go to the crew and be like, look, I have no money, but how much do you want to try? Like, how are you willing to try put the risk in me and see if we can make a really dope film about it?
Yeah. Would you do I guess the term is residuals?
I happily would do residuals. I kind of like with Vigilant even we have our splits between me, Sean, and Blake, the producers, but if we hit a certain threshold, then yeah, we're splitting money between everyone. Granted, on Amazon Prime, we're putting it at the cheapest option possible, which
$1.
It's $2 to buy the film, outright. So I don't think we'll make that much money off of it realistically. Who knows? If I could be eating my words next week, Vigilant Justice makes $100 million.
Yeah, that's possible.
That'd be the funniest outcome. But yeah, I would love to. I have an actual sheet of paper writing down okay, if we did get money out of this, how much percentage is going to everyone? Some people it's 1%. They were on there for a day. Some people it was 5%. For me, it was the higher percentage because same with Sean and Blake because we carried the entire film.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would love to do residuals. And if I were to sell a film, actually sell a film to a studio, hell yeah, I'd want to get everyone paid on it.
Yeah.
It's just right now, I just have to rely on fundraising. So
yeah,
fundraising and hoping that people are willing to commit to this project. I know in my head the biggest issues mentally is a lot of it will take place at a winery, so we would need to pay for a location like that, which that could cost a lot. And then there is one scene in the film where I don't know exactly how we would shoot it. I will tell you guys off podcast, but I think the idea is really strong though. I'll tell you guys all the themes and stuff later, but no spoilers.
Yeah, it's kind of way I have to go because I think Jake and I were talking about it for the feature that we have kind of cooking up.
Yeah,
I think the number we said we could probably get away with $50K.
Yeah, I really and I'm kind of in the same boat as well. Again, it's just you're going to need. I said 100 because it's right. How much would I need for locations? How much would I need for additional equipment?
Yeah,
and then how much would I need for food? And that food is going to be a big deal if we're committing 2 months to shooting a project.
Yeah. Because I think the one we have it's mostly dialogue, not a ton. Obviously a little bit of action, but a lot of dialogue.
Okay.
I think we could probably get away with a 21-day shooting schedule.
I think
possibly, yeah.
I think my next film we could get away with 20 to 30 days as well. I don't think it's anything too massive, but that being said, that would also mean we have to it depends on how serious of a setup we're going to be doing. We're not a Hollywood production. We're not going to be spending 4 hours lighting a singular scene, but
you're trying to have to speed it. We were actually talking about it, and I think the kind of goal we would go for is literally just slap a zoom lens on the camera, key light one side of the person, and just fucking speed run
that'd be
everything. Just shoot if you're on a low budget, shoot a feature how pros would shoot a TV show.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what we did with Vigilant. It's just we set up the lights and then we shot. We tried to make the lighting not look too weird for scenes. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the layer stuff. We had panel lights. That's what we used for the lighting, and we used that to light the background a little bit, but mainly to get the character visible on screen. It wasn't anything too serious. The only scene where we used any harder lighting than that, we used color lights for one scene, but a lot of the lighting just came down to, can we make this look realistic enough?
But I think because there's pretty kind of standard contract-ish for features is as soon as the budget is recouped, that goes back to the production company, and then whatever that is, it's this person gets X%, this person gets X%.
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah.
And that's definitely how I think Vigilant Justice will be because like I said, if the budget was about 4K, I think the first thing we do is recoup all of our losses on the film. I mean, technically, I've spent I think the $2,500 number also came from the premiere, and I've gotten I got $200 back from donations from the premiere, which was very nice of people. And Sean and Blake just let me have that amount because they're like, you spent all the money on the premiere.
Yeah.
They basically spent nothing. But I'd have to make my money back. Sean would have to make his money back.
Yeah.
And then after that we can go, okay, so how are we splitting all this cash up? Which I don't think we'll make our money back, but
Yeah.
you know what? You could be hopeful. We can be hopeful.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
Vigilant Justice
10 years from now, we'll definitely
Yeah.
make our money
Right.
back. Yeah,
into the 7 figures, baby. Let's
Into
go.
Vigillion dollars.
God.
1 Vigillion.
Some more billion me.
Oh God. Yeah.
J-Ro.
Yeah. By the way, just a huge, honestly, congratulations on
Thank you,
finishing Vigilant Justice. Because
I appreciate
I
it.
could not fucking imagine doing a feature film even today.
It was a lot. It's been like a mental weight over my shoulders for 2.5 years, but now that it's finally out and done, like my mind is like clearer. Now it's kind of like when you leave school though. It's like, well, okay, what do I do next? Like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
So. On to bigger things.
Hopefully.
Oh, boy.
Marvel, please hire me.
Marvel hire Ryan. Yeah, so I think that'll be it for the first episode of the IFI podcast. If you're watching this, like and subscribe.
Don't say that.
Like and subscribe.
Don't force
Follow
them.
for more
That's so
content.
goofy.
This is on OnlyFans, right? Or is this
I'll
YouTube?
put it to OnlyFans.
OnlyFans? Okay.
Yeah. All of Ryan's links will be in the description below. His
thank you,
Instagram,
thank
the
you. I
YouTube
appreciate
channel,
it.
all that shit. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
No,
It was
thank
a
you
great
guys for
time
having
chatting
me.
with
I'm
you.
very
and,
happy I got to chat with you guys
And of
about
course,
this.
episode 1,
Congrats.
the future of all time.
You did it.
In the books.
Awesome. And
Cut.
film
rap.
theory.
Rap. And cut. Yeah.
Cut.